Hey y'all, welcome back to the Literary Apothecary. Today I'm here to give you guys a weekly reading update for Sunday, September 14th. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the books that I have finished reading, my current reads, and what I'll be reading next. So let's start with what I have finished. First up, we have At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen. This was advertised as a World War II historical fiction book, but it's so much more than that. The last third of this book turns it on its head completely. Spoiler-free description of this book. In an attempt to win back Ellis's father's favorite and checkbook, Ellis, Maddie, and their friend Hank travel to Scotland in the middle of World War II to capture video footage of the infamous Loch Ness Monster, thus restoring Ellis's father's name. In the Highlands, the men disappear to hunt the monster, sometimes for days, leaving Maddie alone in a foreign country, trying to figure out who she truly is and what she really wants and what she is willing to do to get it. Now, my thoughts about this book, that this book was completely unexpected for me. At first, it was a slow-paced book. It was just a couple of spoiled rich Americans in Scotland during World War II, but then it grew into something much more. It was special to watch Maddie grow into her own self, come to her own realizations, and then to take control of her own life. Despite the slower prose, this story held my attention and my heart before I even knew it did. Next up, we have Virgins by Danica Baldwin. This is an Outlander prequel novella. A spoiler-free summary is a young Jamie Fraser learns what it really means to become a man. Mourning the death of his father and gravely injured at the hands of the English, Jamie finds himself running with a band of mercenaries in the French countryside, where he reconnects with Ian Murray. Both are nursing wounds, both have good reason to stay out of Scotland, and both are still virgins, despite ample opportunity. Fate brings them into the service of Dr. Hasidi, a Jewish gentleman who hires Jamie and Ian to escort two priceless treasures, an old Torah and his beautiful daughter Rebecca, who is destined for an arranged marriage. My thoughts about Virgins is that this was great seeing a younger version of Jamie and Ian. They were so naive in this book. We heard a little bit about their escapades in France in the main series, but we didn't see it because it takes place at a much later time. Although this was a prequel novella, I personally recommend reading this one after you read the main series, and you really get a hold on the two characters, their personalities, the settings, the time, and it'll give you greater appreciation for this prequel novella. I don't always go by that, but in this case, I think the prequel novella should be read after the main series. Next up, we have It Will All Work Out, The Freedom of Letting Go by Kevin Hart. Now, this is a book that John picked out for me, and we had read Kevin Hart's book, Monsters and How to Tame Them, earlier this year, and we both really enjoyed it. This book, It Would All Work Out, is basically a distilled version of that book. In this book, Kevin Hart is only writing about one of the monsters, the control monster. And my thoughts about this, simply distilled down, is that he made me think about control in a whole different way that I've never thought before, and it all made complete sense. Like, control, it is not only the act of controlling, but when you're avoiding things, you're also controlling them, because sometimes you're avoiding things because of the potential outcome that could happen from that, and that's controlling the outcome if you're avoiding it altogether. And I never really thought about it in that way, but it makes 100% clear sense. The last book that I have finished, and I just finished this morning, it's an audiobook titled I Give You My Body, How I Write Sex Scenes by Danica Baldwin. Now, a spoiler-free summary of what this book is about. In this book, Gabaldon takes readers and writers through how to write different types of sex and intimacy scenes and interactions, using examples from her own books to further highlight these lessons. My thoughts is that I loved getting this look inside Gabaldon's writing brain. While at first I thought it was going to be awkward, especially on audio, it wasn't as awkward as I thought it was going to be, partly because Gabaldon's scientific brain kind of takes over in these explanations, and it really helps to kind of separate the awkwardness of sex and the actual writing of it. I really loved that we got examples from the main Outlander series, but also from the Lord John Grey series, which has their own different sets of intimacy and sex scenes that are separate from our Outlander scenes. Mostly because, of course, Lord John Grey is a gay man in the 18th century, so there was a whole other gambit of different things you have to deal with when talking about Lord John Grey's scenes. I also thought that the advice given in this book can be used in any fiction writing, really. It's revolving around sex scenes, but in a greater sense, it's talking about dialogue and intimacy in scenes and actions and using your words purposefully and not just because you think you're supposed to use them in that sense. So I think that this advice could be used in just normal character scenes as well as sex scenes. I do recommend reading this book after you've read both the main series and the Lord John series, because she gives exact examples. In fact, at least in the audiobook, it sounded like they were literally excerpts from the audiobooks as examples in this book. So you will get spoilers for the books if you read this before you read all of the main source materials. That brings me to what I'm currently reading. A lot of this is a repeat, so I'll go through it quickly. A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon, book 6 in our Outlander series. I'm about halfway through with that and making good progress on that. The Outlandish Companion Volume 2, I am very close to the end, less than 100 pages, maybe even less than 50 pages. My goal is to finish that this weekend, and so then I can move on to new books. Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. I am early in that book, but making solid progress. My ebook that I'm currently reading is The Paper Magician by Charlie Holmberg. Now, so far the writing isn't bad, but it's not deep enough for me to really feel what this character is going through. So it's feeling kind of like a 3-star for me. We'll see if that continues throughout the rest of the book. I'm about 60% in right now, so I don't see it changing much. But you never know, you might be surprised like I was with At the Water's Edge. And then the audiobook that I'm currently reading is The Custom of the Army by Diana Gabaldon. This is another book in the Lord John Grey series. This is another book on my Audible account that's going to be going away in just a few days. This is a very short book, so I might be able to finish this weekend and move on to my next audiobook, which leads me to what I'll be reading next. Of course, our next 2 physical reads are the same as last week. I Am Legend and Leonardo da Vinci biography. My next ebook is going to be Night's Shadow by Sebastian de Castiel. And really the next 3 reads are going to be the next 3 books in that series. I've since learned that I think there's more books in the series than just 4. When I looked on Goodreads, it looks like there's multiple other books and novellas that follow this one. I thought it was just going to be 4 books. That's all I have right now, so that's all I'm going to be reading right now. But if I enjoy the next 3 books like I enjoyed the first book in this series, then I will definitely be picking up the other books later on, probably next year. My next audiobook will be Humane Killer by Diana Gabaldon and her son, written under a pen name Sam Sykes. I don't know anything about this book, but this is another one that's going away in a few days on the 23rd, so I want to be able to read it and get it done before it disappears. That is my weekly reading update. Let me know in the comments below, what reading adventures have you been up to this week? What are you looking forward to reading the most this next week? As always, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back.